Hello, welcome back. Here we will be talking about variables. Yeah, we will talk about variables in this video. Right, so when we say variables, what do we mean? Variables are actually containers that are used to store values. Alright, so we want to learn the different kinds of methods that are valid in storing your variables or representing variables. So that's what variables are. Let's get right into it. Now here's an example. It's valid to use a letter to represent to use the letter as a variable. So here I'm saying let x be the variable that contains this value 253. So a variable can contain numbers, can contain booleans, can contain strings. And again, since I have assigned variable x 253 as a number, we can perform calculation with that. Now I can simply multiply 3 by x to obtain 3759. Ordinarily, if x wasn't a variable, if I didn't assign x the value and I used x as a what is it called now, as a string, then the output that we should get, that we'll be getting, will be different from the output we got right here. So here I've converted x to a string by wrapping it around a single quote. So you can see here we're having xxx, but because I am leaving it as it is, because it's already been declared as a variable above the cell. Now when I call it right here, it gives me the output 759. Now we can also find x squared, because we've already assigned a variable before above. X squared is that is 253 squared is 64,009. all right, now like I said earlier, we can assign variables to numbers and strings. So here we are assigning a string to a variable called calculator. I love math. Now when we perform the operation calculator times 5, this will repeat this word 5 times, and of course you can see some white spaces because I intentionally left a white space after the math. So we have I love math, I love math, I love math, I love, repeated 5 times. And here I can also use a single letter, so at least you see I used the letter as my variable. In this case here I use the word calculator as my variable. I'm coming back to a letter as my variable. Y equals 100. So y is underscore y is underscore greater than equal to. So we can also use can combine variables using underscore and letter, just like this. All right, so I'm saying is y greater than this value. All right, is y greater than y greater than x. So like I said again, a variable can also contain booleans. So right now I'm assigning a boolean to a variable called is y greater, right? So this is a boolean value. So if I should call is y greater, if I run this cell and then call, I think I have to run cell y, so it's not seeing it because I'm yet to run this cell on this my computer. So now I've run cell y, it will see it will no longer return this error. So now that we've run the cell, I can actually ask the question, is y greater? It says false, because it is false that y is greater than x, since x is already defined above as 253 and y is defined as 100. So it's false that y is greater. So now I can also perform addition by adding these two variables x plus y to return a value 353. Now we can also assign multiple variables, like here we have a equals 2, b equals 3, and then c should be a raised to power 3. So when you run this cell and call c, you obtain 8, because 2 to the power of 3 is 8, which means 2 multiplied by itself 3 times. Okay, let's look at overwriting variables. What do you mean by overwriting? Okay, before we go further, there are some variables that are not acceptable. You cannot start a variable with a number. Let's try it and see how that will turn out. So I want to name 8 underscore number. Yeah, so equal to, of course you can see that Python had already marked this as there's an error here. So when I run this, it returns an error. So you cannot say invalid decimal literal. So you can't begin a variable name with a number, but of course you can begin with an underscore. You can begin a variable name with an underscore, and stuff like that. When I assign this underscore number, it has assigned that number 9 to this variable name called underscore number. So you can begin with a character. You can be you can begin with a character, I think, other than underscore. So you see here it's giving me it's telling me that okay, there's an error here. it's only underscore you can begin your variable name with, and start with number. You can begin with capital or small letter, but of course we want our variable names to always be descriptive as much as possible. Whenever you are defining variables in Python, please ensure that the variables are well descriptive, and you don't want to use just ABC. So I'm using ABC here just to explain some of the concepts, but in practice we want to use terminologies that are well descriptive. All right, terminologies that are well descriptive. Let me see what's going on here. My sheet is not saving. Let's see if I can help this to save your changes so that I don't lose anything. Okay, let's move further. Let's continue. Now let's talk about overwriting variables. A variable will always contain the last value that you assigned it. Here we assigned x as 5. Let x equals 5. When I call x, you see x we output 5. But when I say x raised to x times 3, it gives me 15. Now if I should reassign x as using another number, let me do that right here. I would enter a new cell. So already x is 5, right? So if I say x equals 7 and I run this cell, when I call x next, I wouldn't see x as 5. X will output 7 because it's taking the list, or it's taking the list assignment, right? That it's overwritten. This x equals 7 had overwritten the x equals 5 that was initially written. So that is what we mean by overwriting variables. All right, please note that. So if your intention was to use a different variable or a different number or variable, don't use the same variable you've used above. Else, instead, you can just say x1, x2, and so on and so forth. Now, name conventions used for variables. Yes, I want to buttress my point on some of the things I mentioned earlier. A variable can have a short name like x and y, or can be defined using more descriptive name that relates to the variable that you would like to store. For example, you can have name, vehicle, or total mass. So it's better we even use descriptive names for variables to make it well descriptive, easy for you to read when you come back to your codes, or if you're collaborating with someone, the person will easily identify what the variables you've used in your code represent. There are some rules to naming variables in Python, so I've mentioned some of these rules and let's just reiterate them. A variable name must start with a letter or underscored character and cannot begin with a number. I said that earlier and I've demonstrated it up there. A variable name can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscore, that is A to Z, 0 to 9, and underscore. It can't contain any other special character. Variable names are case sensitive, so age is different from age with capital letter A and is different from age with all uppercase. They are all three different things, right? Variable names can only be one word. Spaces won't do. So you can't add space, like variable with a space, we return an error. You can see already it's showing me red underlined. This underlining is red, which means that there is an invalid error here. So you don't want to put space in between when you're defining variables. You can't begin with numbers. I've shown this already above, that it will return an error because this is not a valid variable name. Alright, so let's look at assigning multiple variables at once. You can actually assign multiple variables at once such that you can have this as an example. I want to assign a number to this variable called 3, 5, 7. So if I call 3, 5, and 7, it outputs 3, 5, 7 because these numbers are assigned to these variables respectively the way they are arranged. When I run this cell and then print 3, 5, 7, print 3, print 5, print 7, you see the output all displayed below. Again, I can also do this kind of assignment. I'm assigning 3 strings to the 3 variables A, B, C. So A is being assigned banana, B is assigned kiwi, and C is assigned strawberry. When I run this cell and then it outputs banana, kiwi, and strawberry because I've assigned A as banana, B as kiwi, and C as strawberry. Okay, and this is an assignment that is very interesting. I'm saying let A be equal to B equal to C equal to banana. So it means both A, B, and C are all taken to be banana. This is also a valid kind of argument in mathematics. It means when I print A, B, and C, I should see banana, banana, banana. That is multiple assignments. Assigning one variable or one value to multiple variables. Alright, so again, we have assigned 3 different variables with 3 different numbers: 32, 130 divided by 5, and 6 times 7. When you run output X, you have 32. When you output Y, you have 26.0 because you divided 130 by 5. When you run Z, you have 42 because 6 times 7 is 42. Yeah, so these are variables, and this brings us to the end of this particular lesson on data types and the different mathematical operations in Python. I hope you found this series of videos very helpful and insightful. I have some exercises for you here which you're expected to do and submit via the classroom channel. So in case you're not part of our students, our regular students, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and follow us or subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you want to know more, we have more things we've said during the classes, live sessions, because this is a course for data analytics, Python for data analytics. You can enroll in our course at Datafied Academy, and you will never regret you did, because you have very resourceful materials and industry expert tutors. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next module. Bye bye.